I got this here. We wanted to point this out because this, I think, we need to get, if she's out there listening, or if somebody sees her, Kristi Kristy needs to get in on this. She needs to solve this problem. I have a picture here. We talked earlier in the week, I guess over the past weekend, over the past week or so, Principal Roy Miller at Moreland Heights Elementary School, South Knoxville, was making robocalls. He had a robocall that he was making.
Yes.
In support of Pam Traynor.
Yes.
That same Principal Roy Miller, apparently his car was parked at Moreland Heights Elementary School in South Knoxville a few days ago or last week, has a Pam Traynor school board magnet, a big one.
Oh, I can see that. It's very large. Yeah. It's not just like...
it's one of those ones that's probably like 3 feet wide and 2.5 feet tall or so. Or it covers a big chunk of his trunk. It covers a big chunk of his trunk lid. It's on his car, parked in his space.
I can see why you would want to get Kristi Kristy on this, because she's an expert on the policy for having campaign materials on school property.
Well, that is a violation of school policy.
Yeah.
That's why
she's an expert.
Yeah, that's why there's actually a policy, there's actually a law in place where they can only have signs and signage posted within a certain space of the school.
Yeah.
That's why when you drive up, usually you see these little sign gardens out in front of schools, and they're very distinct as to this is how far away the signs have to be, and this is, you can't have, whereas, you had a paper that was in the library that happened to have paid for ads in the paper.
What, little like 1 by 1.5, 2 by 2
it's in a newspaper.
inch?
It's in a newspaper. And
right.
And Kristi Kristy felt that those were in violating that policy. Here you have the principal's car parked in his space right next to the school with an actual signage on the car. That's a clear violation of the policy. She needs to get over there and pull that magnet off and go stick it, in the trash somewhere.
The Kristi Kristy light has been shined out into the sky, and hopefully she's on the case.
That's right. So, Kristi, you need to get on that.
And then take pictures and then send an email to everybody.
That's right. To let them know that you've, that you're playing both sides to make sure that everything's fair.
Because surely,
across the board,
surely she is a woman of principle.
Across the board.
Highest moral character.
If you're going to hold everybody to the high standard, then hold them all to the highest standard possible. Naughty. Naughty, naughty, naughty.
Wag that finger, Kristi Kristy. Wag it.
Bad. Checking now to make sure that she can go after us for a violation of some sort of policy.
Oh, really?
I'm sure.
She's an expert.
Yeah. Good joke. 865-243-TALK, 243-8255. It's Knox Talk Radio.
I'm sure she appreciates you very much, you bringing this to her attention.
I don't care if she doesn't know. 94.3 WNSZ. It's Through It Awakening. We come to you live from the Slam Dot Studios at Knox Talk Radio. Slam Dot websites at work. 865-238-5600 is their number. Hey, you remember that Holly Bobo case?
Yes, I do.
Well, apparently they've now indicted a second person yesterday. They're now looking to plan to indict a third person as well. So it seemed like for the longest time we never heard anything about it. And all of a sudden, they got somebody a couple weeks ago, and now the second person yesterday, they're looking to indict another person very soon.
It's really good to hear because, that we, like you said, we did go a long time without knowing what was going on in that case. And I remember a few months after that happened, people saying, well, does anyone care?
Yeah.
Is anything going to be done about this? So it's good to hear that.
Yeah. Deb weighing in on the text box saying some universities and colleges are actually mandating that professors must make sure the students make good grades because the parents or students are paying so much. Because that's what should decide education is the amount of dollars.
I'm trying to remember the school, but there was some school that got in trouble for just giving A's to students who didn't even show up at the classes. There's a talk in higher education that there's grade inflation.
Yeah.
Where they're giving students grades they don't deserve in order to make the schools look better or make the students look better, or like you said, buckling under parent pressure, because they are paying so much. Like a 28% increase nationwide over the past 4 or 5 years.
Education is expensive, but as we've learned so well here locally, it can also make a lot of money.
Well, and it can be really expensive without providing a good service as well.
It can be very lucrative, too.
Yes.
And that's apparently the most important thing is how lucrative can it be. Because, not all students are equal, but some students are
more profitable
than
others. Yeah, and students can't pay that tuition if they fail out.
That's right. You got to get them out there. You got to get that graduation rate up. Doesn't matter if they're prepared or not. Just get that graduation rate up. Get those federal dollars flowing, because that's important.
That's right.
Coming up, we'll talk about that Oklahoma inmate. Dies of a heart attack after that botched execution. More goings-on in Ukraine as pro-Russian separatists take over some government buildings in another Ukrainian city now. And we'll talk about the events at that FedEx Center we talked about yesterday morning as well. Just a very confusing and very sad situation there. We'll talk about that coming up for you. And more of your calls, more of your texts, more of your emails. 865-243-TALK, 243-8255.
I guess he went to Mexico. They all went.
Hey, we got an email here from somebody saying their plan to vote for school board vote against anyone we're for. When you have school board candidates who think Common Core is a tinfoil hat conspiracy, we're all in trouble. Well, kudos to you. That's your right. You should do that. At least you're getting off your duff and going to vote. Great. Go vote against everybody that we're for. That's awesome. At least you're doing something about it. At least you're making your voice heard. And I mean, just to clarify, I mean, obviously you can embrace yourself and wrap yourself in your Common Core love or whatever ignorance you have on the subject. But we never said it was a tinfoil hat conspiracy. We just said it's not good. It's just not good. I mean, you can actually read it. It's not good. It's just bad.
We've shared with you plenty of examples of some of the curriculum that they're giving to elementary school students, middle school students, questions that don't make sense, questions that don't have answers, questions that are made to make people feel
If we're the only ones
stupid
out there saying that, then that's one thing. But there's a whole lot of people out there just saying it's bad. And it's new people every day. And it's not just people that are conservative or liberal or anybody. It's people it's parents that are out there who have kids that are having to go through this crap. Louis C.K. I love Louis C.K., one of the funniest comedians in the world. The absolutely funniest comedians in the world. One of the funniest guys around. He is far from conservative. He is extremely liberal. He is extremely liberal. But you know what? He's a parent with kids. 2 daughters. He tweets the other day, "My kids used to love math. Now it makes them cry. Thanks, standardized testing and Common Core." I guess he's also one of the ones that thinks it's, quote, a tinfoil hat conspiracy. No, he just sees that it's bad because he's a parent. Any parent who sits there and reads the stuff goes, this is bad. This is really bad. But at least you're getting up voting. So awesome. Vote against anybody we're for. If that's your decision, great. At least you're voting. Third hour on the way. Second hour in the books. We'll see you on the other side.
Knox Talk Radio. Clearly, your best choice for talk, news, sports, traffic, and weather. 94.3 WNFZ FM, Powell, Knoxville.
The Justice League of America, the combined might and power of the Man of Steel,
Mike Howard,
and the Cosmic Crusader,
David Shine Thompson,
and the Scarlet Streak,
Terry West.
all working together for good against evil as the Justice League of America.
Oh, yes. It is The Rude Awakening coming to you live from the Slam Dot Studios at Knox Talk Radio, 94.3 WNFZ. Our number 865-243-TALK, 243-8255. Hey, if you're getting ready to refinance your home, or maybe you're looking to purchase a home, maybe you're a brand new home buyer, right now is the time to do it because rates historically at an all-time low, but they are going to go up, and they are going to go up throughout this year. So you don't want to wait any longer because you could wait a week, a month, and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I should have done this the other day. I should have done this 2 days ago. Because as the year goes on, the rates are going to go back up again. So right now, interest rates, historic all-time lows, they are going to go back up. It's the time to buy. It's the time to refinance. Lending guidelines loosened up, making it much easier to qualify. And the folks to do it for you, Fountain City Finance. It's a local company, 22 years in the business, A-plus rated with the Better Business Bureau. Jack Amex and the folks over there are doing big things for a lot of people. And they're doing it for your neighbors. And you know what? They're your neighbors as well. They're people right here that live in Knoxville, that live in this area. They care about the people they're working with because they see them on a daily basis, you know. You want to do business with a local company. You want to do business with someone like Fountain City Finance. because you're not, when you call them, you get somebody right there, right here locally. You're not calling New York, Atlanta, L.A., Chicago, wherever. You're calling somebody right here in Knoxville that lives here in this area, that are working with you. It's a local company, local people, taking care of local people. That's an awesome thing to do. They got the lowest closing costs available. Compare them to anyone. Call today for a free quote. 865-687-8200. 687-8200. That's 687-8200. Or go to the website, FountainCityFinance.com. Fill out that easy 2-minute application. It's a secure website. And when you do, tell them you heard about it from Mike on the Rude Awakening at Knox Talk Radio. Just tell them you heard about it on Knox Talk Radio, and they'll go, oh, yeah, that's right. 865-687-8200. Or go to FountainCityFinance.com. Fill out that easy, secure application. You'll be very happy you did. Fountain City Finance are great folks out there taking care of you. Our number, 865-243-TALK, 243-8255. Good morning, Robert. You're on the Rude Awakening.
Gentlemen, always a pleasure and a privilege.
It's ours, sir.
Hey, listen, TCAPs are going on right now.
That's right.
Got a daughter in the 8th grade. She's taken, language arts was first. She finished that in 45 minutes before the allotted time. Mathematics yesterday, 35-minute completion time before the testing would have to end. She tells me that the questions are very simplistic and seem to be awfully easy to go through and get done correctly. Mm-hmm. Now, my point is that they just gave my daughter, or sent us, a report card, next to the last report card for the year, mm-hmm. and it reflected a number of B's and a couple of A's. Mm-hmm. Now, those B's are right at the A level. They could easily go up with 1 or 2 points. Sure. My point is, the TCAP scores are now part of the final grade.
15%, I think, of your final grade.
So what's my point here? In her little atmosphere, her little world, she's probably going to bump all those B's up to A's.
Sure.
It's very, very likely that she will.
Yep.
And it's simply because of this testing system, mm-hmm. and not really a reflection of the final couple of weeks of the year.
No, it has nothing to do with education. It's all about the standardized test.
So, parents, you've got to really be involved in your children's education. I know that there are generations out there that are careers and their job and so on are so very, very important, but you better make sure you're looking behind you and seeing what your kids are being educated and if it's enough. That's the really big part. Yeah. Is it enough? And do you need to input some? Y'all have a great morning.
Hey, thank you, Robert. We appreciate you weighing in. Yeah, it's, and a lot of times you hear from kids, what'd you guys do the last 2 weeks? Oh, no, we sat and watched movies. We watched movies.
Oh, man.
We hung out. We had parties. And that's great and all, but you know what? Last time I checked, education was education. It's supposed to be about education. We hear all the complaints all the time about public education being horrible, and people going to homeschooling, people going to private education, people doing, and of course the question comes up about charter schools and about voucher systems, all that. The thing is, what's wrong with trying to make public education good? When did we just say, we give up and throw up our hands? We give up on public education. We're just going to go find something else. What about just making public education good? For a lot of people, for several generations, that's what you had. Our parents, our grandparents, the majority of them are products of public education.
It's true.
What's wrong with going back to making that the best it can possibly be? Making that the gold standard. Making that the thing that everyone measures up to. Is there something wrong with that? Or is it just too hard and we throw up our hands and go, we'll think of something else to do?
Well, and it seems, and even though I don't endorse getting rid of public education, it does seem the logical thing to throw up your hands because we've been told for years, for decades, it's underfunded. Let's get more money to the student. We could spend more money. This could be a higher priority in our community. But now we're spending the money. The money is being spent, not just here, nationwide. We are spending lots of money on education.
I'm going to say
it's not getting any better.
That's not the logical thing to do because more people have to go through public education. The logical thing to do would be to fix public education because that's where the biggest number of your students are at. The logical thing is to fix it. If it's broken, fix it.
I know, but I'm saying the answer we've been given for years is that it's not funded enough.
I understand that. But
so now it has the funding.
I'm saying that answer's not right. That answer's wrong.
Agreed.
It's incorrect. They want you to say, well, that's the logical thing is to... No, it's not. The logical thing is majority of people go through this country in public education. The logical thing is to fix it. Fix what's broken. You have a flat tire on a car. What do? Do you flatten the other 3 tires to match up to what you have? Or do you stop and fix the tire? Or you just throw the car away and find another way to get someplace? Because right now they want us to throw the car away and just jump on a bus. Stop and fix the tire.
Well, it's the way we've been trained to deal with government, and not just education, but in every issue. It's either we need to pass a law that we can all feel good about with a neat-sounding name, or we need to increase funding. And I think it's about time in America where we decide what priorities are, what is good. Instead of it being subjective and it's different because the culture is different or we're in the technological age, what is good? What does that mean? What is acceptable? What is wanted? What is needed?
And the thing is not is what is good as they tell you what is good.
Yeah.
What is acceptable as they tell you what is acceptable. What is needed as they tell you what is needed. When you stop and strip away all the crap and look at Common Core, it's just bad. It's just bad.
Get rid of all the marketing.
It's the dumbest way you can ever teach anybody anything because it doesn't make any sense. It's just bad. But here's the thing. We get that email. Oh, you think it's a conspiracy? No, we never said it's conspiracy theory. We just said it's bad. Otho weighing on the text box. I listen to the show every day, and I don't seem to recall you guys ever saying Common Core was conspiracy. All I've ever heard you say is that it's a bad idea. 4 plus 4 does not equal 10 no matter what Common Core says. It's just bad. But here's the thing, Otho. You have somebody like that who emails in anonymously. They don't really have a way they can defend their argument, so they do what is normally done, which is what we're getting from some of our elected officials as well. You stand behind a bush anonymously and throw rocks, or you think you're throwing rocks, you're throwing marshmallows, because there's nothing there. It's just bad. It's bad from the start, it's bad at the end, it's bad all the way through. But they keep telling us it's good. And we accept the fact, oh, well, they say it's good, so it's supposed to be good. They've spent so much money on it. It's expensive, so obviously it's good, right? If you spend $1 million on a piece of crap, guess what you have? You have $1 million piece of crap. It's still a piece of crap.
And there's nobody better at doing that than government. If Bill Haslam says it's good, it must be good, right?
No. Not right.
If Mike Huckabee says it's good, it must be good, right?
No. Not right. I don't care how much money you spend on it. If it's $1 million piece of crap, at the end of the day, it's still a piece of crap. It's just more expensive than all the other crap that's out there. But why would you spend our money doing that? Well, it's the same reason you'd spend $1 million to the Parthenon Group to come in and tell you that, well, obviously, if you want to make education better, you got to have bigger class sizes, because that makes sense, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. That makes
if you want more students to learn and to learn well, then you need to have more students in a class, because we all know historically that the ratio to students to teachers, the more students you have per teacher, the better education each one of those students gets, right? Because think back to your class when you were in school. You learned a whole lot more when you were sitting in a class with 100 people compared to if you were just sitting in a class with 10 people. You got more of a personalized education if you were in that 100-person class. You felt like the teacher was talking directly to you. You felt like the teacher actually cared about what you were learning there, right? If it's $1 million piece of crap, at the end of the day, it's still $1 million piece of crap. And it's no better than any other crap that's out there. It's just more expensive. Again, if you want to make a change, make a change. But you got to get up and you have to actually make the effort to make the change. You got to go vote. You got to go tell them, hey, I don't like this, or hey, I like this. I think those two guys on the radio are idiots. That's fine. Whatever you think is great, but you got to go out and say it. You got to show it with your vote. You have to show it with your vote.
We've said it a million times, no matter where you're at on the political spectrum, no matter what you believe, communities are better off when more people vote, no matter how they're voting. Communities are better off when more people are involved in the political system. When people in government know that everyone's watching them.
You're just telling people that are dumb to go out and vote, and then you got a bunch of dumb voters going out and voting, and things are still bad.
It's not what the statistics say. Say when the more people you have voting, the better off your community is.
If you're going to actually take the time to go do something, then you would think that you're probably going to take a little bit of time to find out what you're voting about. Find out what you're voting for. Or at least find out who you're voting for.
And look beyond the marketing. Look to the facts.
But it takes work on your end to do that. It takes some commitment on your end to do that. Not a lot, just a little. And if you care enough about your kids, if you care enough about your community, if you care enough about your country to do that, then do it. And get other people around you to do it. Encourage people that you know to go do it. Encourage people that you know to take some time to get some information and go do it.
Put at least as much work into it as you did your bracket this year.
At the end of all of it, after it's all said and done, you can at least stand back and say, look, you know what? I made an attempt. And maybe this time we didn't win. But next time, we know what else we can do. And believe me, the more people that let their voice be heard, the more the people up there in those seats start to take notice of, hey, you know what? They're not just apathetic. They're expecting us to do more. They're holding us accountable for things. And then it's amazing how quickly you start to see things change. It's amazing how it works that way. When you have a concerned populace and they start to speak up, it's amazing how different the leadership then looks upon you. Why do they treat you like you're dirt right now? Why do they treat you like they don't care right now? Because they feel they can. Because we've not held them accountable to anything. When you start to speak up, they go, ooh, we got to do something. We actually got to do something now. They're watching us. We got to do something. If they're not working, bounce them out. But make sure you put somebody back in there who's qualified to do what they're supposed to do, who does it correctly. And you know what? If they're not working, bounce them out. It's not about the mistakes you make. It's about what you do in response to the mistakes that are made. 23 minutes after the hour.
Blue eyes cry.
So Louis C.K. blasting standardized school testing and Common Core now on Twitter. Sadly enough, though, most American grade school students now can't even spell CK. So,
oh, man.
So that's the sad part of it.
It is sad.
Off the text box, this one coming in saying, my son is in second grade in Knox County. The story problems they give us are crazy. There's no clear answers. You pick the best answer, which all the answers tell about the story. He was so confused, and the math story problems are tricky. Here's one. Jane had 10 flowers, and Chad had 15 flowers. Chad gave 8 flowers away. How many flowers does Jane have?
That's the brilliance right there.
She has 10.
Yeah.
Because it didn't say Chad gave them to Jane. He just gave his away.
Right.
Chad's now got 7 flowers. Jane has 10. The answer is right there. It's the first thing it says. Jane has 10 flowers.
There's your answer.
It's not a question about math. It's a question about whether you're paying attention or not.
Mm-hmm. Which is not a math problem.
We used to take tests like that. I remember in school, we took this one test where it said, the very first thing on the test, and our science teacher gave it to us as a joke. It said, read each and every answer first, and then go back and answer the questions. Or read each and every question first, then go back and answer the questions. And she gave it to us to make an example of if people actually do what they're told to do. And you read the entire thing, each question. When you flipped over on the second page, the second to last question said, take your test paper, write your name on it, and turn it in. Ooh. Immediately. So you sat there and you read the second, and then you'd write your name on it, and you're supposed to write your name on it, go and turn it in without putting any answers down.
Right.
And her example was, most people don't actually read everything. But that's what these are now. These are literally tests to find out if you're actually paying attention or not. That's not a math question.
And honestly, that's one of the more reasonable ones that has been shared with us.
Jane had 10 flowers. Chad had 15 flowers. Chad gave 8 flowers away. How many flowers does Jane have? She's got 10. It says right there she has 10. Didn't say Chad gave her 8 flowers. It said he gave 8 away. He now has 7. She has 10. Now, if it said Chad gave Jane 8 flowers, then she'd now have 18.
Then you could do math.
But it doesn't even ask for that. It's just asking whether you're paying attention or not.
Mm-hmm.
Jason says, in high school, I took other classes that wouldn't allow me to be on a college path. Kids need a semester of auto mechanics, wood shop, how to build a house, horticulture. All these skills help in everyday life. Kids need these skills in general. True, but here's the difference, Jason. We keep hearing this from people. Oh, they need to take the. Here's the thing. Here's the big example there. In those classes, shop class, auto mechanics, you actually learned something. You were taught something. You received an education of how to build something, how to fix something. You learned some sort of a skill. You were actually taught something. Unfortunately, now in education, general education, you're not taught anything.
Right.
You're not taught anything. You're taught how to take a test. You can't even go be a teacher because you're just taught how to take a test. We actually used to be taught things in school. So yeah, kids need those things. But they also need a general education as well, because there used to be a time in this country where we actually taught children education. They actually learned history, science, math, English. Now they learn how to take a test, and that's it. There's no education there.
Well, one of the biggest things taught them how to learn. So even once you're out of school, you're still able, you have those mechanisms, those systems for retaining and disseminating information.
It's all done by rote now. Here's why you take this test. Here's how you answer this. Here's how you look for the answer here. It's ridiculous. 32 minutes after the hour, our number 865-243-TALK, 243-8255.
Slow down. Old world.
36 minutes after the hour. Chico says on the text box, schools used to have community pride. Now Knox County vans kids to schools across town, or kids find their ways to transfer to Alcoa or Maryville for sports. Community pride has vanished. I live 2 miles closer to Bearden than West, but I'm zoned for West schools. That makes no sense.
I'd take it further. I'd say pride has vanished.
Yeah, there's no such thing as pride. There's no such thing as pride. There's no such thing as integrity. There's no such thing as honor. It's just, it is what it is now.
Only the perversions of those things you mentioned exist.
Everyone's out for themselves. Hanson says, I bet Russell wishes Common Core was in effect when he was in school. I'm sure he still thinks that 1 + 1 equals green.
No, he wishes it was in school when he was in school so he'd have an excuse. He could say, oh, it's just that Common Core. That's why I'm stupid. Love you, Russ.
I'm glad you added that.
Yeah.
It's nice. 865
1 + 1 equals green?
Yeah.
Yes.
Didn't you know that, Terry?
Uh-huh.
Colors have numerical value.
865-243-TALK, 243-8255. Good morning, Matt. You're on the Rude Awakening.
Hey, how are you guys today?
Good. What's up, man?
Hey, I was just wondering if anybody else had commented or looked into these surveys they've been giving the kids in elementary schools. If you look into it, that's from a Tripod Consortium, creepy name, but yeah, I was just wondering why we are paying. I want people to ask themselves why we are paying for these surveys that come in and ask incredibly personal questions that they do not need to know, and saying that these surveys are anonymous.
Yeah.
When if you look on a survey test, there's a slot for a student number and a description of the student.
Yeah.
These aren't anonymous, and I had my sister look into it, who's a child psychiatrist. These were lie detector tests to try to catch children lying. Each question as it asks, how are you feeling today? Does your teacher make you happy? And these tests were also to evaluate teachers. Why are fourth graders
evaluating teachers.
Yeah.
Why are second graders?
Matt, it's even worse than that. They're asking kindergartners and first graders to evaluate their teachers, and they're asking them to evaluate teachers they don't even have. They're asking them to evaluate other teachers.
Why are we paying for this is the bottom, besides it being creepy and weird, why are we paying for it?
They've got to find some way to spend the money. They got a lot of money to spend. They got to spend it somehow.
People need to know what these surveys are, and no parents even go in and opt out. Me and two people in one whole school opted out.
Yeah.
They ask you what kind of education your parents have.
Yeah.
What kind of books are in your home? Is there anyone that doesn't speak English in your home? Regardless, it's not their business.
Yeah.
And why are we paying for it? I just wanted to let people know, look into these surveys.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not as harmless as they try to make them sound.
No.
And they are going on, they're going on a record somewhere.
Of course they are. It's a database someplace. Matt, we appreciate you calling and sharing that with us. Yeah, we've heard about some of this tripod stuff and some of these, and we keep being told, well, they're not going to be doing them anymore, and the ones they're doing, they're not actually. We're just trying them out. They're not actually being used for anything. Well, then don't spend the money on them. If they're literally worthless and you're not using them for anything, don't spend the money on them. Don't spend the time on them, and quit collecting data from these kids that you don't need to collect data from. And the data you're collecting, and unfortunately, Matt, that's not the first one we heard talk about this. The data you're collecting has nothing to do with quote-unquote education. You don't need to know what kind of books are in the parent's home, or what the parent's education is, or what their nationality and background is. There's a lot of these questions that are, they're very intrusive and they're very disturbing when you start looking at what they're asking kids and how young they're asking some of these kids to take some of these surveys. There's something very nefarious and something very troubling with all of that. And the fact that they're spending your money to do it.
And we've talked about on this show how one of the biggest emerging industries right now is data collection for government and big companies. It's one of the biggest emerging industries right now. It's very profitable, very, very profitable, and is used for marketing purposes. Not only should the taxpayers not be paying them, but if they want that kind of information, which is very, very valuable, they should have to pay you for it, not make you pay for it.
Write this down on your calendar. Thursday, May 8th, 6 to 7:30 p.m., Sturkey Elementary School. That is the in-person town hall with your board of education and your superintendent. If at all possible that you can be there, you should be there. And people need to ask questions like this.
Sure,
ask them what's going on, because the thing is, they're responsible for these things happening. They're the ones that are implementing a lot of this. They're the ones that are putting these in place. They're the ones that are making sure that these steps and these surveys are followed. They're the ones that have to answer for the 21% preparation rate. Somebody needs to start answering these questions. But the thing is, they have to be asked first. These questions have to be asked first. Mm-hmm. They have to be asked. Apparently, they have to be asked repeatedly until somebody finally decides to get some sort of an answer out there. Some sort of an answer. Because right now they're dodging questions and they're ducking out and not actually answering questions. And maybe they have to be asked multiple times by multiple different people. But there eventually needs to be some answers and some reckoning somewhere. And again, you got 2 days to vote. You have 2 days to vote. Early voting schedule going through May 1st, which is tomorrow. Okay? 11 to 7 today, 11 to 7 tomorrow. That's it. City County Building, Carter Library, Farragut Town Hall, Love Kitchen, Downtown West, Merchants Drive North, that's 314 Merchants Drive, New Harvest Park, Halls Recreation Center, Carnes Hardin Valley, 7650 Oak Ridge Highway, or the south location, 6510 East Chapman Highway. City County Building, keep in mind, open noon to 5.
And noon to 7 tomorrow.
Noon to 7 tomorrow for City County Building. So your last 2 days, the early vote. And then after that, you got May 6th. And that's it. A couple other things we would be remiss not to hit on before we get finished up today. Yesterday, of course, we